Yeah.
Now I am. Yes.
Okay, cool. I was like, I was like, huh? I thought we were recording. Yeah, so this is just the basics, basically, because we saw a lot of people haven't used it before, and that's okay. It's okay because I don't think most of our like curriculum has anything to do with web design, to be honest. If I'm like correct, you wouldn't really, maybe like higher levels, but when you're like the freshman or sophomore level, you're not really gonna know too much. So that's okay. This is beginner friendly. So first things first, we just want to thank you guys for joining us. This is our first time us taking charge and hosting a workshop, so it's a little nerve-wracking. So if you just can't hear us or something like that, then just like let us know. We'd appreciate it. We're like newbies. And then to move on, some of the stuff we're going to be covering, first we're going to start off with HTML. So HTML, what it stands for is Hypertext Markup Language. And some of what it does is that it's like a foundation for when you're doing web design. So you can create a layout for a page, online, and then you can structure its design like any borders or containers, or if you guys don't know what that means, basically just shapes in the layout. It's like if you were writing a layout by hand, or if you were using Google Docs to make one. It's kind of like that. You just have like an intro or a header, and then you have like the body parts or paragraphs, and then you have the layout of that. It's really fundamental and it's not like super special, but it's really important. It's like the basic foundational block. So some of the basics when it comes to HTML documentation is here. I put some of them here. I'm not going to go too in depth with them. I only put like 5. But just so that when you see them in our code, you understand what it means. So the first one here is just the basic code format. So you would go HTML body, you would write your code, whatever code you'd put, and then you would end it that way. It's kind of like with you guys who have used Java or C++, how you do like using namespace std, or you do include iostream or whatever. It's kind of like that. You just need it. Then here, this is where you would put the brackets a and href. Sorry, this is the link destination. So when we're working with HTML, we're working online. We're working with a page online, and so this is how you would declare the page that we're going to be working with. This is a random one. This isn't really a website. It's just a random thing. Okay, so moving on. These are just basic things you're going to see in our code, and it's pretty common to see in most codes. So div just means dividers. It just divides the sections. And H and N here is a number of the heading. So H1 would be the most important heading, and then H6 would be the least important heading. So it goes by order of like precedence, like whichever one you think is most important. And then something that we've done also is that when you're declaring an image or you want an image to pop up on your web page, you just do image and then the source file pathway name, which is just the name.jpg. Then you do the alt, which is the name of the website, and then the size. So that's just how you declare that there. So that's basically all I'm going to cover for HTML because there's not too much else you're going to need to know for what we're doing today. But of course, if you're interested, you could always learn more. Next, we're going to talk about CSS. So it stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And what it does is it's an external style sheet that you can incorporate on your HTML file in order to make it look better. And so the way it works when it comes to declaring is it has a selector. The selector here in this picture is called P. And then it has a property and a property value. This is the declaration format. And so CSS can be used to change borders, backgrounds, colors, fonts, or basically enhancing any of the stylization parts of web design. You can add a nice font or add a nice background color or XYZ, whatever. We kind of did that with ours, and you're going to be able to see it in the documentation of our CSS file. So you can always change it to a different color, and you can play around with it to make it look more like something you'd like. So here I put a sample code. It's just so you can see the documentation, so it's not like super unfamiliar when you're looking at ours. Here it's just like, you see it says color. Color here is the property, then it's a colon, and then you have the property value, which is here. It's usually in the blue color font, and then it's followed by a semicolon. It's pretty straightforward, but if you guys ever have any questions, you can always leave them in the chat. Yeah. Lastly is JavaScript. Now, I'm not going too in-depth with JavaScript because that's what we're going to be focusing on primarily in the workshop. But JavaScript is really, really cool because I like it because it doesn't need to be compiled. So since you have it saved onto your computer, you don't need to compile it. Every time you save, it updates to the design. And as long as you're attaching it to an HTML file, then that's it. That's all you need. And it incorporates things that you guys have probably learned like 212 or 211, more so 212 when it comes to like nodes or queries. And you learn about the kind of stuff like dummy nodes and sorting selections. You can incorporate things like that without having to compile it. and it adds more to it. So basically what it does is it allows for you to manipulate the HTML and make it more interactive, make it more nice, basically. So that's all I'm gonna cover when it comes to this. I'm not gonna talk too much more about it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to set you guys up with the workshop. So Amalia, you're free to take it away, friend. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Yes. So I'll actually do something right now. So have you all? I mean, actually, I think it's pretty straightforward. So I have this link. Wait, give me a second. I have this link, and you guys are gonna download the code that's here. Okay, give me 1 second. I can start sharing my screen. So basically, this is like a blank, well, partly blank Chrome extension. There's actually, Kayla's gonna tell you, we have to remove a folder. There's like an extra folder. But it's okay. You can download the code. And just when everyone has it downloaded, I think when you download it, it's like a zip file. So like, extract it from the zip file. And once everyone has the folder downloaded onto their laptop, for those who are following along, just like give a thumbs up or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like we said before, since we're using JavaScript, you're gonna need to use a sort of IDE. You can't use an online one because it has to be saved onto your computer. Oh yeah, download button is here at add file. I mean, sorry. You want to show them where the download button is?
Oh, oops. So the download button is right over, oops. I'm sorry. It's right here. It's this green code button.
Yeah, you go download zip and then you have to extract it.
So then you just download zip. I mean, if you guys know how to use like GitHub, like by all means, like clone it, use a terminal, but you could just download it, and you'll be ready to go. So then once you have it downloaded, I think I kind of renamed mine, but you could open it, file, open on your IDE. Mine is called blank Chrome extension because I just renamed it. But go to the open up the folder that has this like icons, pop up, background JS. So just like when everyone is like here, I guess we're gonna start with manifest. So once everyone is literally here, everyone's looking at the manifest file, then we're good to go.
Is there any questions, or are there any questions, sorry, or any confusion about how to download it from GitHub or what an IDE is maybe? You're looking at it? Nice, nice, nice.
Oh, I paused my screen share. I'm so sorry, y'all. I did not even notice. Okay, let me see. Stop share.
Nice, BB. I'm using Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, I like Visual Studio Code. I was such
Me
an
too.
Atom person.
I have like a different look to it. Mine is like blue, but I still like it.
The whole thing is blue.
Yeah, mine is like dark.
Oh, the IDE is like blue. Yeah, because you could like change the colors, right?
Yeah, I like it. It's more customizable than like Eclipse or.
As long as it's not light mode.
Yeah, right. For real.
I have my GitHub on light mode. I like it in light mode. I don't like GitHub on dark mode.
I don't have anything on light mode.
I have it on light mode. Wait, give me 1 second.
So is anyone having any trouble downloading it, or is anyone confused? There's no need to be shy because we saw with a lot of the polls, a lot of you guys are younger, which is fine. So it's not strange to be confused because what we're talking about is confusing. We just want everyone to be on the same page so we're able to progress as one. And finish this nicely.
Okay, so
I think we're good.
yeah, I guess I'll just start. So this is a JSON file. For all Chrome extensions, you need to have this JSON file. Like it needs to be called manifest. Like it needs to be called manifest. So manifest, sorry. And most look like this. It's just this top part is like the very, very like basics, like the name of your Chrome extension that's gonna pop up when other people see it. The version is just like your version. Like if you want to continue like making other versions, it's like if you put it more like in the store and you're like, this is version 1 of this Chrome extension, and then you made updates and now it's like version 2. It's mainly for yourself. Manifest version is one of the most important things. So this one, the latest version is version 3. It came out a year ago. And I heard that version 2 is actually going to be discontinued. But yes, 2023, I think it's going to be discontinued. And actually, I think pretty much most Chrome extensions are running on version 2. And that's because version 3 has like a lot of like issues because it's like new, and I think you always come across errors with version 3, even though people like maybe like if you search it up online, like people saying like, oh, you should move to version 3. There's like some differences. It's like minor differences.
But a lot of them, like me and Amalia, we tried to change ours to version 3 so that it could just seamlessly transition for you guys. It's much more difficult than it seems.
Yeah. Okay. So here you could just. Oh.
No, I was just gonna say, like, if you guys wanted to make your own, then just keep in mind, like, any Chrome extension you make after 2023, it has to be in version 3 of Manifest.
Yeah. So here you just write the name of your extension. Like you could name it whatever you want. I just name it like CodeResolve extension. And then you write your version, and your version could be like 1 because this is your first version. Oh, and also after the quotations, you have to put a comma. So this is like a list. And for this one, we're using version 2 for sure because version 3 there's too many errors with version 3. Description is just like you're writing, I guess just what your extension does. I think when you're looking for an extension on a Chrome store, there's like a little description that comes along with it when it's like kind of small. And I think this is the description that comes along with it, but I just be like, timer and to list. That looks kind of ugly, but whatever. And then you put the comma, then background. So well, not all, but most Chrome extensions run like background scripts, and our background script happens to be background.js. We just named it background.js, but most of them are called background.js. And this is different from version 3. Yeah. Oh, I forgot it was like this. Okay. I think like that. Yes, and then persistent is false. So basically this background is just scripts running on the background of your Chrome extension so that it keeps like, when you use your Chrome extension, right? Like in the time that you're using it, it's like active, it like wakes up. But then like when you stop using it, then it kind of goes to sleep, and this kind of like wakes it up again, because like if you don't have it, it's just gonna be used once and then you can never use it ever again. And that's what makes it different from version 3. Version 3 has like a different like method of doing this. But they still don't have it working. So I don't know what their plan is. Then these are your browser actions. So we have this file called popup.html, popup.css, and popup.js, this folder popup, because basically when you just click on the icon, there's gonna be a pop-up. So you just put it over here. Default pop-up is pop-up slash pop-up .js. No, .html. And then over here you have jQuery running, because we're going to be doing some query selects later on. Think like that. No. In quotations. No, wait, this is. No, it's correct. That's correct. I was gonna have another laptop to look at the code, and then now I'm looking at it from my phone. Permissions. Storage. We're gonna need to store. So we need storage to. Okay, we need jQuery to. When you add things to the to-do list, you're gonna like not like search for them, but you use jQuery for that. And permissions, you need storage to store the things that you write in your to-do list. So like anything that you write to your to-do list, like when you close, like I guess the extension tab, it's still gonna be saved there, because then it would just be dumb if you just wrote something on your to-do list and then it disappeared. So storage. How do you spell storage? Storage. Come on. And then icons. Okay, icons is not really important, but we just want it to look pretty. So icon is like, okay, I'm sharing my whole thing, right? So like these little icons right here, like I have Teleparty, and I use over here, what is it? Grammarly, Honey, Weava, if anyone uses it. And basically like these little like images, you can like set your own. But if you don't set your own, I think it looks like, you see this like, oh wait, someone's, there's like this little block S right here that I have at the end. That's a Chrome extension that doesn't have an image icon. If you don't have an image icon, it doesn't mean it's not going to work. It just looks like a block. But if you want to look pretty, then you have to put images, and the images have to be specific sizes. So you have to have one that's 16 by 16 pixels. So this 16 one is 16 by 16 pixels. And so on and so forth. The other one is 20 by 20 pixels. The other one's 32 by 32 pixels. The other one is 48 by 48 and 128. And those are the specific sizes of the images. And if you don't use those sizes, I don't think it's gonna work, or maybe it's just gonna look terrible.
Oh yeah, if I can add something. Also on Chrome, there's two different images that can show. One when it's active, and one where it's not active. Usually it's like grayed out. So if you were to make your own Chrome extension, you would want to create two different images. For the sake of simplicity, we only made one, so it's the same one each one. But usually to fit like the layout of a Chrome extension or to make it look more professional, you would have two different ones. But like she said, they have to be of the sizes. Those have to be consistent. And they have to be PNGs, yeah. Any questions so far? We have some newer people joining. If you guys need the link to some of the stuff, please just let us know. We'll put it in the chat.
Oh yeah, just put I think 2 or 3 new people just joined while I was talking. Like I admitted them, but just put the link again.
I'll put the GitHub in again. That's where you're gonna find the source code for what we're doing and we're building off of. No problem. It doesn't matter if you join late. Just want to make sure that you're caught up.
Yeah. So this is all we've typed out. I think I could like. I think I can copy it and then paste it in the chat. Is that gonna look ugly? Is it gonna fit? Let's see. YOLO. Okay. Yeah. So we're done with manifest. All Chrome extensions have this. The only reason why it might look different on other Chrome extensions is it's a different version. And some have even like more if you use like
Emily, I think you cut out. But yeah, if you use like
APIs and things like that, like you add Chrome extensions, you can have like different tabs.
Amalia, your internet's cutting out. But I'll explain. Yeah, like she said, if you want it to run through different tabs or you want it to be more consistent the way it's run as a Chrome extension, that's what the manifest file is for. You have different options that you can add also. There's just different things you can add to this to more professionalize the Chrome extension, which I think is where she was going with that. For now, though, now that we're done with the manifest file, does anyone have any questions before we move on to the JavaScript file? No? Well, I'm gonna stop her sharing and then I'm gonna share mine. I don't know where Molly went, but that's okay. I'm sure she'll join us. Okay, so now we're gonna be talking or working with this pop-up extension featuring JavaScript. I'm going to be talking about the first half because the first half is actually a little confusing. I'm not too sure what level all of you guys are at when it comes to computer science at Queens College, but I know that Professor Lord has you guys, or even just all 212, one thing that you learn when you're learning about lists is you're learning about nodes. And for us, when we're using JavaScript, we use nodes. That's why it's one of the things I'd mentioned in the PowerPoint. And we also use queries, as Amalia had mentioned before. Those are things that we're just regularly using. And so for here, what we're going to do is we're just going to define some of these things that are here. You're already supposed to have this on your file. So if you guys are lost or confused, you can always go back to the GitHub. Maybe you accidentally deleted it, or you could just put something in the chat and I can try to help you out. So first things that we added were buttons. For JavaScript, you don't have to specify what the type is for variables that you create. You just put variable and it identifies itself. So some of the things that we created was an add to do button. So if we have, I'll show you the layout of our extension. I think the one that we made before so that you guys are able to see it. So let me just share my Chrome extension screen. I'm sorry I'm like switching out so much. I know that's like annoying. Okay, here. So let's say I'm gonna go to manage extensions just so you guys can see. So this is the one that I made or that me and Amalia made before. And the way that it works is that when you go here, you go to our section. See, this is a little icon that we drew. You press it, and this is how it shows up. So just a quick overview, the buttons that we're making in the JavaScript file that you see, the add to do button, that's here. The to do field, that's this. The to do list would be what we're adding to it. And then the clear to do button. So all of that at the beginning just has to do with this to do list. Everyone understand okay? So far, okay? Yeah, it's just adding buttons so that they're able to present themselves nicely. The colors and all that other stuff is CSS stuff. It's not something that you do in JavaScript, but to make it interactive, like for instance, if I wanted to add something like Chrome Workshop, let's say, if I wanted to add it here, what I'm able to do is cross it out. And if I had more than one thing, I could also uncross it. But if I had more than one thing, let's say like homework, or I don't know, walking my dog, stuff like that, things that I added, when I cross them out, they go to the bottom. Now this is because what we're using here, and you'll see that in the second part where it says to-do list implementation, we're using nodes for this list. And so the first functional part that we see, that you're going to see in our JavaScript file is this loop. And when Amalia and I were like looking through it, we were having a hard time understanding what it was. It really took a while for us to understand fully, but it shows it here. So this is the function for the to-do list. Like I showed you guys, when you're refreshing the list, it goes from whatever you cross out goes to the bottom, and it has a line through it. And so the way that we have done that is here with this while loop that you have. So first child just refers to the first thing that you put into a list. It's kind of like a node. It's just the first object you have in the list. So this this loop says while to-do list, that's our list, right? Our list, our Java list, has a first child, we're going to remove the first child. You might wonder why we have that and if it's even important. but it actually is because of the way that lists work. So first things first, what I'm gonna wanna do is under the manifest, I'm gonna wanna, sorry, speaking a lot, but not saying too much, right? I'm gonna share my screen, just my whole screen, so you guys can see it. Okay, here, right? Sorry. So here, right? When you're wanting to make your extension an extension on Chrome and have it on your computer, first things you have to do is go to load unpacked. Then you're going to want to go to the file that you have your extension. So I have two that are here because one is the one that I already created that I was showing you guys. This is going to be the one we're going to work with for the workshop. So I'm going to click on that, and it's not letting us go because the manifest file isn't uploaded. So one thing you have to make sure to do, and one thing that makes it easier for me, is if you go to file, or I'm not sure what you guys do think, but for my IDE, you have to consistently save. Because like I said, JavaScript is something that isn't compiled, but it's just uploaded with save. So if you make changes to it, unless you have it on autosave, it's not gonna show. So I forgot to do that, so good thing that was there. Learning moment. Let's see.
It's because it's in a folder.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I like put it in a weird folder. But even if I'm working with the other one, what I can do is just show you guys because I still have it open. I don't want to change the one that we already have. Let me see. Or do you want to show them, Molly? I know you cut out. I don't know if you wanted to say more.
Oh no, I didn't. I'm on my data now. My Wi-Fi went out. We're good.
Wow. Oh no.
We're good. I kind of finished. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I'll look into it.
Okay. Yeah, give me 1 second. So when you're uploading it, when you have this one here, I'm just gonna work on the one that I have here, which is the one that I was doing before. If I were to delete this portion of here. Oh, Sam, give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. I have like a million things loaded. Can you show them on your screen, Amalia, while I like organize my screen? I just want you to show them
what the timer looks like.
Yeah, well, what happens when you don't have the while loop that gets rid of the first.
For the list. I have the blank one. I don't have yours.
That's fine.
I think.
It's still on there. It's on the JavaScript. So what happens? Yeah, I accidentally, so one thing you guys have to be careful of is that when you're extracting a zip folder, you have to make sure that it's accessible to the Chrome so that you're able to unload it. Because we just had an empty one to share with you guys. It's like within another folder, so it's not really accessible. So I have to change that. I didn't see that, and that's my bad. I'm sorry. But one thing you guys just should remember is to make sure that it's accessible for here. Give me 1 second. What I was explaining with the JavaScript is that there's two different representations of the way that it looks. Basically, you have it when you write it down, it's just with a bullet point. When you cross it out, it's up to the bottom and it has a line through it. Because those are represented differently, they're actually, the way that we created it, it has two different nodes. So if we were to not remove one of the first nodes out of the two that were created, then it would just show up twice, once with the line through it, once without. That's the way we created it. So in order for that to update itself in the refresh to do section of the JavaScript, what we did is that we removed the first node or the child node so that it only shows the one that we wanted to show. So let's say that we had a line through it, then we would create another one that has no line through it. And if we didn't have a line through it, we'd create another node that has it with a line through it. Does that make any sense? I just want to make sure you guys understand what I'm saying. What is a node? That's a really, really good question. So that's something that you go over in 212. I'm not sure, you might not have gone over it, or maybe you had a confusing professor. Both valid, both understandable. Node is what you have under lists, and what it is it's something that you can add to from the beginning and from the end. Basically, the way that strings are immutable, you can't really change the size of them, right? You just can only like cat onto it and create like two different strings together. Compare it to in C++, Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily Java specific. If anything, it's more like a structure, a data
It's
structure.
like a concept.
It's a concept, yeah. It's not just for JavaScript. You can implement it in other languages. You're getting errors.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, yeah. It's because I didn't finish sharing my screen. I was gonna test it out. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna share my screen.
Yes,
I just didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to interrupt you, Kayla.
No, you're fine. I just want to make sure.
Okay, so I don't know if you're getting this because okay, so where I left off, I left you guys like with the code. Even though, oh yeah, actually, I think technically now you can upload it. So okay. Oh no, I closed it. Okay, let me redo that.
Okay, so should I continue explaining?
I think let's fix. Okay, so I tried to upload this, right? And then I came across this error. No, wait, oops, I had to save it. Load unpacked. I called my blank Chrome extension, select. And then I come across this error. I don't know if anyone's come across that error or if you ever made it to here. This is just to clear out any confusion. It's because I put a comma. I put a comma right after. Oh no, what did I do? Okay, there's supposed to be a comma after everything in the brackets, except for the last thing. And then there's a comma at the end of every bracket. And then there's no comma for the last item. And then there's a comma for this one. And there's no comma for this one, because then it's going to give you errors. So I'll paste this code again in the chat. At the end, you guys are going to have like the complete code. Like we're going to share it on GitHub. There's a GitHub repository that has all the code
Sorry,
like running and working. But this is for anyone that just wants to follow along right now. Aside from that, so I think the GitHub, all right, so now I fixed this and now I save and then I retry and it should be good. Could not load PNG specified icons. Could not load manifest. Why? I didn't get this error before.
Yeah, so you have to, I can share my screen if you want me to show.
How to fix this?
Yeah, it's really simple. You just have to copy the path. I'm gonna.
Okay. Because it's, what is it in? Icons?
Yeah, it's an icon. So if you go press icons.
Okay, icon slash that.
Wait, press icons. Look, everyone's learning. Just kidding. Icons. You right click. You press copy path. To the any
image icons.
No. To the image you're gonna use. Yeah. Copy path. Or copy relative path.
And then I paste it here.
Yeah, relative path is what you want because you don't want the description of what's in your your computer. You just want where it is in this file.
And then I just paste it here.
Yeah, you're gonna paste it there.
Oh yes, so just icons.
Yeah, that's literally the only difference. Yeah, so we uploaded it with our icons there, but you guys can change it. Like we said, it just has to be of the same size. But to get back to the question about nodes, like we said, it's a structure. It's a concept. It's not necessarily coding language specific, if that makes any sense. Basically, the way in C++ even, right? When you're adding to a string, you're not actually adding to the string specifically. You're just creating a new string that has both of those attached. So this is another way and a more efficient way to add on information without you losing the consistency of creating new things at a time. So you have a node and then you have like a front node and a next node, right? So you can add to it and take away and point from other directions. It's a structural thing. Like I said, it's confusing. So if you're confused, it isn't like crazy. It's a way for you to be able to point to the same object without you having to change the object itself. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like a pointer. Exactly. Thank you, BB. C++, a million years away.
Wait, did you want me to show the JavaScript thing?
Yeah, sure, you can show it. It might be easier for you to show it. I have like 3 versions on my computer right now.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. See, this is what happens when you do things. But
the comments. But anyways,
is it this one?
Oh, that's a little,
Background.js.
yeah. It's not background, it's pop-up, remember?
Yes.
Yes, background has to
Okay,
do
I'll
with
click.
what Molly said. It has to do with it running in the background. What we're working on is the window that pops up when the Chrome extension is live. So here, like you can see under the function refresh to-dos, so that's gonna keep track of the list of things that are completed and not completed based on how the user is interacting with them, if that makes sense. Yeah. So homework, yes, you can illustrate the way that you're able to do that. Homework 1, homework 2, project 3. Nice.
Come on.
Test, perfect. So when you click on one, like I showed, you're gonna click on one of them, maybe the top one, it goes to the bottom and now it has a line through because we're changing the orientation of it. And honestly, the object itself isn't the word test or the word project. That's just what's showing from the object. So in order for us to be able to change the orientation, I'm so sorry guys if you hear my dog, she's like loud, she's a big dog. But in order for you to change the orientation of it, the way that we went about it is getting rid of the child nodes or the nodes that we've created. It's not,
It's not for the crossing out, it's for the adding in.
yeah, so you can show them. So if you take away the,
Yeah, okay. So I can just comment this out, right? And then now I'm gonna add homework 1, I guess, like how we had it before, homework 1. And now I want to add test, right? I have to do my test. Oh, what? Oh, I forgot to save it. Sorry, I forgot to save it. Okay, once you save it, then it's gonna do it. So then I just close it here and then I open it again. Oh, I haven't pinned it. I should pin it. Okay, there, it's pinned. So now I have my to-do list. Okay, let's clear that. Let's clear. Now it doesn't want to clear. Okay. What was another thing I did? Whatever, reading. Add.
So click one of them. See? That's what I was trying to explain, Maya. Yeah.
Oh yes, it was. Okay.
It was, yes. This is like the one thing I know out of everything that we've taken from this. It's just this. But yeah, so when you're crossing it out, it has a different orientation. What it is it's a different node. It creates a separate node for when it's crossed out and when the action is completed. You see it later on in like the variable not to do's and to do's. So in order for that to not keep happening and not for it to keep showing up, we have to remove the other node. Otherwise, we're just gonna have a crazy amount of nodes that just have cross and uncrossed. It's too much. So that's what that code is, and it's really important for that to happen. You guys might not be creating Chrome extensions with to-do lists, and that's fine. But it's an important even structural thing to know about. So I'm glad you asked that question when it came to the nodes. It's a good question. Anyways, so yeah, if you go to oh, you want me to keep showing?
Oh.
I can show it. Doesn't matter. I feel bad that we're like switching through. I know that's a little bit like off-putting, but I promise this is the only way.
This is the only way. Teamwork is a dreamwork.
Exactly. So then underneath here, it gets the amount that we have on our little Chrome extension of what is done, and it checks to see.
Could you make it a little bit bigger?
Oh, of course I can. See, mine is blue. Yeah.
Oh,
so
no. Could you like Control plus?
Oh,
like
of course.
make the text bigger.
Oh, of course. Is that okay?
Yes, better.
Yes.
Whoa, yes.
You said whoa. Maybe it's lagging a little bit. Yeah. So here we're just going through just some of the functions that we have and what they do, so you guys know if you want to implement them or whatever you want to create or not. Cool, just so you guys know. So this one here just checks the amount that we have to do's. If the amount has to do with the amount of objects that we have that are to do, if they're not equal to each other, the not done's and the amounts that are done, the amount of to-do lists. So every time we have something we're adding to the to-do list, it keeps track of the number of objects we've created. So if it's not equal to the amount that's not done, if it is equal to the amount that's not done, meaning that if we didn't finish all of them, then it returns false. But if it is equal to the amount that, like if the amount that we have finished is equal to the amount that are in the list entirely, then it will return true. That's just what these two here do. It's nothing special, but the wording, because JavaScript might not be something you're familiar with, can be confusing, but that's just what that is. It's just that overcomplicated looking thing, but that's just what it is. Yeah. that it combines the to-dos and the not to-dos. And here, this is just different status. It just changes whether or not it's outlined, whether or not it has a cross through, all that extra stuff. It's just ways to interact with it. Yeah, you're able to add a list, delete a list, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's just what this is. So this whole section here, what it does is it just keeps refreshing the list, making sure that it's displayed correctly and that it's still able to be changed from done to not done, cleared, or whatever, etc. This is just has to do with the to-do list field. Yeah, and I think that's what I'm doing, if I'm correct. Here also, for the change to do status, it's the same thing. It just changes whether or not it's done or not, in terms of what the object has, and also in terms of what the user sees. It just changes it. Yeah, this is the clear button, right? So at the top, like I said, we created certain buttons: the clear, the add, to do, and the list, like the list itself, and the field of where they're going to be represented. So then later on here, what we have is a definition of the button and what the button does. So it does very straightforward. Like I said, it looks confusing, but it's not too confusing if you know what to look for. Here, like I said, it just deletes everything. For the clear, it just deletes all the lists. For the add is a little bit more complicated because like there's a certain orientation that you want to add it to. When we add something to our list, it actually goes to the top. So everything that we add goes to the top and everything's dragged down. Because of that, it's a little bit more complicated here. But basically it just has, this is the method of checking if the orientation is okay for the add. Then we have the other buttons here, the timer implementation, which I believe Amalia is going to be explaining for us, lovely Amalia. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen unless any of you guys have a question about the refresh to do field. You can ask, I will try to answer your question as best as possible. You know, Amalia and I are juniors. We're not like super smart seniors that know all the answers. We just know like a small amount of answers, but we'll try to answer them best as possible. Anyone have any questions? And if not, I'm going to stop sharing and let Amalia share her screen because she's going to be talking about the timer implementation.
Yes.
Take it away, Amalia.
Yes, I will take it away. See, Kayla and I, we figured this out yesterday, and we were like, yes, let's start. Okay, so starting from the top. Oh, wait, okay, so just so you guys know how it works. Basically, we have this timer at the top, right? And it has it automatically set to 25, right? This is part of the HTML, but it automatically sends it. I start at 25, right? Because that's how a Pomodoro timer works. It's like increments of 25 minutes. Like I forgot, Kayla can explain. But basically, you can type in whatever number you want, right? So if I want this change, I can have it like 24, or I can have it like 30, right? 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, right? And basically what happens is when I press the play button, it starts counting down, and you can restart it. So that's basically what the timer part of it is. Oh, and actually really cool. I didn't know this, but you can actually have like the number. I don't know if you guys noticed. But you see like in the corner, it says right here, like see the little 25 box, and then it starts counting down and you can see it there. It's actually really cool. Okay. Anyways, so you have these like functions, right? And I guess the easiest place to start is over here, where you set your variables for minute and second. So it kind of uses HTML within the JavaScript. So all the times you see like in inner HTML, it's being used to, I guess, take in the numbers, because I think, where is it? Okay, wait, I'll explain it later. But it has this variable for minute, and I guess it gets the minute, and this one stores the seconds. Let's see, y'all bear with me. And this is the start. Okay, so this is the start button, right? So then basically, it gets like the minute and it stores the minute, and then it gets a second and it stores the second. And I guess that's like, it's like starting to count down from there. It has this reset button that just posts like a message. Does it post a message when you reset? No, it doesn't. Okay, I don't know what this part does, but we'll
Yeah, I
figure it
think
out.
that section status just means it tells the computer that it's reset. So
It's
then
reset, right?
it calls to the other functions.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Let me make this a smaller time so that we can see what happens when it's finished. Okay. Then it has this refresh time, which is when you press the refresh button. So these are just the buttons: the set time, refresh time, reset button, start button. These are all just like linked to each other, and I think JavaScript has like a time thing that like it knows. Okay, let's see. We have
Yeah, I think you'll see it under update time.
right here, right?
Mhm.
No. Okay, so we have timer dot min equals inner HTML. Yeah, so over here it gets the time object, and then dot time dot minutes. Oh, so this is the part where it starts counting down, right?
Yeah. So what
Because
it
it
does,
updates it.
yeah. I'm sure you guys have seen parse int before. Basically, what it does is just keeping track. So instead of using some sort of clock or like maybe your computer clock to keep track of the time, it creates its own timer. That's what this is doing.
Oh, I
So it's
thought
kind of
it-
like dividing.
Oh, that's why it says.
Yeah.
That's why it says if seconds equals. Okay, because I
Yeah,
was gonna
yeah,
look
that's
at this
what it is. You're so
today,
funny,
and
Mo.
then no, stop. This is embarrassing, y'all. Okay,
No,
it's
no, no.
okay. It's
Because
okay.
JavaScript isn't like the first thing that Amalia and I are good at. This isn't our preferred coding
This
language.
isn't our preferred coding language. You see, this is my
Exactly.
first time doing JavaScript, and you guys are all gonna bear with me. Okay, so this just updates the time, right? And it makes its own timer. And if the seconds are less than 10, then it starts at 0. Oh, okay. So it just makes. Okay, I see what you mean by makes its own timer. So it literally like
Yeah, I'm sure it's a project that you guys have done before, and if you haven't, it's a pretty good project to do.
I've
Just to
never
keep
done
track
this.
of time. Yeah, like you have to like divide by or mod or parse whatever you have to do to keep track of how many seconds can count as a minute or blah blah blah. That's basically what this is.
Oh. Let's see. I don't know what this does. Let's see.
All this other
Function
stuff isn't
enable
important. I mean, this is kind of like
push
Java. When you press the start button, it creates an event. An event just means that your computer knows that you're going to interact with it. The event is the click. So once you click on the button, it's saying what it's going to do is stop the time. So basically, it's because the same button we have that starts the timer is we're going to use to pause it. That's what this does. For you guys, maybe you've been taking 212 yet, but when you're adding event listener, it just means your computer is waiting for some sort of input from you in order for it to go on with the next part of your code. In this instance, it's a click. Sometimes it could be whatever. Sometimes it's a key that you can press, or it's a drag or whatever. That's just what that is. So it's because we're using the same the same play and pause button. It's the same. It stops and it continues the timer. That's what this does. Nothing too special, nothing too cool, but definitely something that we need. So at least it looks nice and it functions the way it's supposed to.
Do we have a disable button?
We do. I'm sure it's just when you exit out. Your timer.
Oh, that's what it looks like. Okay. That's what.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, why isn't this clicking? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so
so
this is a notification that you get when the time runs out. So that part is over on the. Is it in the JavaScript? It is.
Yeah, it's in the background file actually.
yeah,
It is.
because this just has to do with the little section that comes up on the corner of your screen for the Chrome
That
extension.
makes sense.
Everything else that's running, even the more complex queries and stuff like that, we have in our background file. So this is just for what we're seeing in the corner when the Chrome extension is live.
Makes sense.
Thanks, Lily.
Okay. So we have. What are these? Oh, these are the other buttons. No, this isn't for the
Yes. So if you show them back to the screen, when we have our to-do list, yeah, you just want to exit that out. To-do list is collapsible. So that's just the interaction part of that. Like I said, it's not like super like special. It's not. It's just a way to make it more interactive because that's really what JavaScript is for. So it's in order to do that. Yeah, and
so
then you can.
this oh wait, no, I was just gonna say, so the collapsible, so like it knows it's a collapsible because it uses Bootstrap, right? I'm guessing that's the collapsible text and the top wrapper and the bottom container. Like those are specific names that you're using when you use like Bootstrap, and Bootstrap is just like, it's kind of like CSS, a little mixed with like JavaScript. Like you can use it in the JavaScript, and like these names cannot be changed, I believe, because that's what they are. So when it's a collapsible, you could just call collapsible and it like automatically knows that it's going to be a collapsible, and a collapsible is just like this, like going in and going back out. Same with top wrapper, collapsible text, bottom container.
Right, like we said before, this is stuff that if you've taken 212, you're probably familiar with in terms of the layout, what containers are or wrappers are, even the buttons and like GUIs and stuff like that. And if you're not, then it's fine. It's not super difficult. One thing I like about JavaScript is if you're looking at it enough, you can understand what's happening because it's very like simple English. It's not super out there. But yeah, then it has a toggle, it has a different container at the bottom. Basically, that's just the layout of how it looks like. You want to demonstrate it for them again, Amalia?
Oh, with this.
No.
I mean, we could try changing these, but I think we could do that better with the CSS.
Yeah, that's probably what we should go into now for the sake of time, because it's going to be 6 o'clock. I don't think there's much else for it. Minute listener, like I said, listeners are just waiting for actions, so you can change them. That just makes them more interactive. Yeah, it just sets it, then you can go up to 25. Because Pomodoro, I don't know if you guys have ever used that study technique, but basically.
Wait, Kayla, I was gonna say this 25, isn't it also in the HTML? Isn't it repeated twice?
HTML has it? Yeah, I think so.
The HTML has it.
Just has it because that's what this specific Chrome extension is for. If you just wanted it for any sort of timer, then you could have had it as anything else. Because if it's in the HTML, it's just because that's the foundational part of the timer. You want it to be 25 because that's what the increments for Pomodoro timers are. Yeah, it's like 25 minutes studying or working and 5 minutes off. Yeah. Oh yeah, no problem. No problem. That's why it's in the HTML, because HTML just has the foundational part of it, and because this is a Pomodoro timer, that's why that's there. And also in the JavaScript, because we're able to change the number. It doesn't have to just be 25. Yeah. Yes. So what do you think, Amalia? You think we should start explaining some of the CSS, the designing parts?
Yes. I think you start with the top part, and then I can continue. Give me a second.
Sure.
You do the timer. Actually, I could do most of this.
Sure.
Hey, wait, is it long? Okay.
HTML? No, it's not long at all.
Okay, so like Kayla explained earlier, we like we're not really teaching you guys HTML, but HTML is not that hard to follow. It's like kind of straightforward code. There's like syntax that you always have to follow. Like it always has to start with a doc type, and that's like HTML. Actually, I think it doesn't really need it, but let's just leave it there. Then it has like this head file, like this head, like div, I guess. And basically here you put all your links. So this first link links it to Bootstrap, and Bootstrap is basically just like it just makes your life easier sometimes, instead of coding everything out like this collapsible that we were saying. Like there's some parts of like Bootstrap that just like already have like easy things to implement, or like if you want like your things to look like fancier, like these buttons to like have a certain like shape like that, you don't have to like exactly set the location and set the shape and like set the roundness. You can use Bootstrap links. And then this link just links the HTML to the CSS. So our CSS file is called popup.css. So we just reference it here. And then this can be deleted unless you use the Kayla. This one?
Style sheet, I didn't. So that's what I was saying earlier for CSS. You can implement already set style sheets. It's kind of like in our previous workshop, Figma, that Francis did. When you're creating a style sheet, it just means it's a layout that you can use to design multiple web pages. You could just implement that instead of having like to make your own, basically. So it's really easy. It's kind of like the way you like styling pages. I don't. It's kind of like the way Bootstrap is to JavaScript. That's what CSS is, I guess, in general, or that's what Figma is to CSS. It's just easier. Yeah. Yep. We didn't use this.
So you guys let me know if I'm cutting off because I'm using my data. Okay. What was I gonna say? Okay, so then we start right away with the body. Sorry, I need to move this. Oh yes, my internet connection is unstable. Am I not using my data? Okay, whatever.
If you want, I can share, so it could be easier. Do you want me to do that?
Yes, I think yes. Maybe I just have to turn off my camera.
No,
actually, my internet
share
connection is just terrible.
That's okay. I'll just share my screen for this one. Yeah, you see? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, so she's going over the pop-up HTML. Like we said, pop-up just means it's specific to what's showing in the Chrome extension in the corner. But yes.
So the first part is labeled already, where it says like timer. That's just like the section of the pop-up. That's the timer. It's like you could literally imagine it like a long rectangle, and like just literally the top part, which is like our container. Right, our container, just like imagine a container, like a literal container. It's like the top part where the time is, so like that little rectangle where the time is, and everything under that is gonna pertain to that until the div closes. And container is a class name, but it's like a specific class name because we use Bootstrap, and the ID top container is also specific to I think to the Bootstrap. So then you have, oh, Kayla, you didn't take it out. Okay, whatever. So sometimes you can put CSS in HTML. So that's where the H6, where you could see the style text align center.
This one right here.
Kayla?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that one. And that just centers the text. So the text is FOMO for Kayla's timer. But yeah, if you take off the style equals text align center, you could just put it in the CSS. It doesn't need to specifically be in the HTML, because if every single CSS thing was put in the HTML, it would just be really, really, really long HTML.
Right. So when you guys are creating, something for yourself with a web design, you really want to put in the HTML. You just want to put the foundational parts. Things like designing, orientation, font, color, all of that, you want to specify in the CSS file, or else this is going to be too long and too annoying to go through for yourself. It's just easier to section it off that way. I didn't get rid of it, but I should.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And then there's a div, was it timer container? And I think that's like the literal, like the white box. I'm not sure if you can go, but it's like the literal like white box where the time is. Oh no, it's not white box. It's like darker purple. You put it like color, but if you change the color for it, yeah, it could like stand out more. But the IDs and the, what's the other one called? The classes. They're just like names for them, so that you could just reference them back on the CSS, and then you could change the color. So Kayla, could you go to the popup.css and we could change the color of timer container so that they could see. There's this container. That one's container, but there's pop-up container, I think. Oh no, it's called. Oh no, it is called.
Yeah, it's just a regular container. Or if you wanted the to-do container, that's this one here. We changed the color to
No,
this.
no, 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 no. Not that one, not that one.
So just to give you guys a sense of the orientation of CSS, basically you can establish sizes, background colors, borderline, like the borders, the borderline colors, and whatever. So that's what I did for here. I made the button certain colors, the font certain colors. I changed the size of how it fits. I changed whether or not, if you have two buttons together, whether or not the sizes are one immediately after the other, or they're set and just next to each other, or just one could be on top, whatever. You can change all of that with CSS. Like she said before, in HTML, you can't
Max?
have it there. Sorry?
Oh, I was gonna answer Lily's question.
Oh, yeah, what
Oh,
happened?
you can continue. Max width is just, I mean, you could set it in like pixels. So like, what's like the biggest you ever want it to be, even if you like make the window bigger, right? Like, you know how when you drag windows and you make it bigger, then things get bigger on the window. So if you set max width, it's never gonna be bigger than a size, even if you move the window to make it bigger. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it just makes sure that it can't be expandable. Because I don't know if you guys have ever been on a website where like you change the size and it's like immediately so annoying, or even on like Blackboard or CUNY first, it has to just set
Yeah, they
max
have like,
width. Oh my gosh,
yes,
that you use it on your phone,
yes.
it
So
gets
so
super,
max,
super ugly.
oh, I was gonna say, so max width, when you have it set as like pixels, like it will never get bigger than the size. But the good thing to have is always in percentages, because then when it's a certain percentage, it will always be like, percentages always stay the same, like I guess like a ratio, like yeah, like 50%. So like it will always be half of the screen, you know? And then if you make it like smaller, it will still be half, not like half of your screen, half of your window. So it will be like half of the window. And if the window is smaller, it will still be half of that window. That's why there's usually for things like width and things like that, a height, width, especially for containers, it definitely has to be in percentages. People sometimes do like images in pixels instead of percentages sometimes.
But yeah, in terms of what else I can show you, one thing that's really cool with CSS is that when you want to establish a color, you can type it in by its name, or you can also drag it. So you could change the transparency, or I guess it's like the opacity, I guess is what it's technically called. And then you can change the color. And like I said, if you have on save or auto save, then it'll show up on the extension immediately. You can also do it by RGB, or you could do it by its tag. I did it for both just for the sake of showing you guys.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't really matter because you can drag it. You don't really need to know any of them. But let's say you had a specific stylistic thing you wanted to incorporate, or even if you were using like a style sheet, it would have certain colors that you would want in terms of your like interface or like your layout. If you wanted to incorporate those and specify, you can either use like the RGB or like the tag for the color.
The hex.
Yeah, the text, like that one to me
Hex.
feels a little bit easier. It's a little bit more consistent. So that's what I did for ours, because we designed our icon here. It's so tiny you can barely see it, but we designed the icon, so we wanted to make sure all of the color scheme of our layout had to do with the icon. So that's how we changed it. Like I said, it's really easy. Not that this would be something that you would want to incorporate necessarily. Oh yeah, of course. Not that it would be something that you need to do in terms of a pop-up for Chrome extension, making it look visually appealing, especially when you're doing something that someone already has done before. It's really important so it stands out, or else no one's going to want to use yours if it doesn't have like an edge, I guess you could say. An edge. But yeah, Amalia, anything else that we should mention with CSS that you think is important?
Not
I
right
want to
now.
mention something. I totally forgot. So one thing that about our extension that is cool, but that was really annoying when we were trying to set it up, is that if you have the extension here, right, and let's say we add to the list, right, when I'm hovering over it, there is a certain setting for that right before I change it, when I'm hovering over for it. Before I had it at a lighter color so I couldn't see it, but I'll show you where it is on the code so that you don't have this problem. It's over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, the hover. So when you're hovering over a text, you can change the color so it stands out so they're able to do it. Pseudo selector. Wait, are you asking me? Hover, yeah. Yeah, hover here. You have it for both. For when you want to delete it and when you want to add to text. Doesn't matter, but yeah, it's here, right here. So in order for you to specify, yeah, in order for you to specify, you want to change the color, basically. So that you know you're hovering over it, because sometimes the mouse or the way that it's interacting, like if you look and you see, right, on my Chrome extension, when I have it here, it turns to like the eye, which is usually when you're like going to type something. That can be confusing for people who are using it. They're usually looking for something else. So you want to be able to make sure that they know that they're hovering over it. So you can change the color to that. For me, I like it when it's a consistent color. But you can change it. But that's something that you have to watch out for. Hovering changes the color, which can be annoying depending on what background color you choose. Just make sure it's consistent, basically. Yeah, anything else? Anything you had trouble with, Amalia, that they might have trouble with when it comes to understanding the CSS of it? I can try to explain with the
No. I would just recommend, like, if you guys want to make your own Chrome extensions, and I guess this pertains to like making websites too. Always make it like always have like contrasting colors, especially when it comes to text and background. I mean, it's something that I feel like is a little bit obvious, but like it's like some people like sometimes like people have like certain palettes that they like, and they're like, I love all pastel colors, and then when they choose everything to be like different colors, like maybe it's going to be like light pink and light green, but then when you use it, yeah, so accessibility is something that's really important. So just like make sure, like obviously you could use colors that are really similar, but like especially when it comes to text and background, like they have to be like you know, like one dark one light, just so you could see it. Some people are like colorblind, or just in general, like sometimes you go to a website and you're like, this is so bad I can't even read it.
Yeah,
Just like things like that to keep in mind if you guys ever want to, yeah, if you guys ever want to build your own pop-up, because it's not gonna I guess sell, you're not gonna be able to sell your Chrome extension if it doesn't look pretty. I think people like aesthetic Chrome extensions more than, I mean, it depends, but
well,
some
one
people really
thing
like
that why
aesthetic.
we chose this workshop as opposed to something else that had to do with web design is because Google Chrome allows you to upload extensions you make onto their store, and you can monetize it. So for every one that downloads it, you can get a couple cents or whatever, and you can make money that way. So web design is something that you can make money with, but you want to make sure that you know how to do it first. And if you guys have never done web design, then I would definitely suggest that you at least learn first HTML. Like I said, it's the foundational ones. HTML and JavaScript. CSS is just making it look nicer and more presentable, which you're going to need later on. But in terms of interactiveness and layout, you're going to want those too. But yeah,
Yeah, and I
that's
was just
basically
gonna add,
all. Yes.
oh yeah, I was just gonna add, not all Chrome extensions use HTML. So like, you know, things that you use, like actually I think most of them, but I think there's some Chrome extensions that don't really, and like just when you click on it, it automatically like does something without having a pop-up. But like I'm thinking about it even now, like even when you press something like Honey, I don't know if anyone uses Honey, but like it like goes like down, you have like a little window and it tells you like prices of like, you know, like is it worth paying for the amount that you're like buying? There's like different like I guess UIs and HTML that go around, but you don't have to use HTML. It's not required, but most, and like some people go like above and beyond. Like people make like journals. I like didn't know. I don't use Chrome extensions that well, but like people make like journals and like diaries that you can use, and like it even has like a little calendar on the Chrome extension, and like those people like make money. Like I've seen people, they're like, I'm just a college student, and like they make those things, and I'm like, okay, you do you. And a lot of it is HTML and CSS, a lot of HTML and CSS.
Angry study helper? I don't think so. Let me see.
I found one. It was like a drink, like a water, like remind you to drink water.
Oh. Yeah, so one thing that I wanted to incorporate for the sake of time and complexity that we didn't is that there's ways that you can block your browser from opening certain sites. So if you were studying, you can have, I'm pretty sure this probably does it's the similar concept. If you're studying and you, let's say you wanted to open Netflix or HBO or Hulu or Crunchyroll or even Kiss Anime, something like that, right? You can you can just block it so you're not able to. There are ways to make it more interactive and to build upon it, and even just using the foundationals of an HTML file, a CSS file, and a JavaScript file, and the manifest file, most important for Chrome extensions. You could just make anything, honestly. This is just the introductory thing. Definitely don't have to keep our file to look like this. You can just change it to make it whatever you want, literally. Yeah, any questions, guys, or anything else that we can help you guys with? I don't think I have.
I would recommend going through the Chrome store and seeing what like people made, just to get like ideas. But you could like look it up like on GitHub because people have theirs. And like what's really easy is like you just download it and it doesn't take long to upload to the to like I guess to Chrome, because like what we uploaded right now is like not available for everyone to see. Like we just uploaded it locally. So basically what you would have to do to like, I guess for other people to use your Chrome extension is you need to publish it, and to publish it, it's not something that happens automatically because Chrome has to like go through it first, kind of like authorize it. I think also Chrome, I think like if you, let's say you want to make like a Chrome extension that uses like Google Calendar and things like that, I think Chrome might not let you do that because you're using like their services, and they would be the ones, like I think they would have to buy it from you, I think like or I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but I
there
think that's why they review it
complications with
too.
that.
Yeah, I think
It's a
there's some
little
complications with
annoying.
using Google services. Like if you make your Chrome extension too good,
They're gonna like
like
sue you.
yeah, like you can't make like a Chrome extension that adds like an event to your Google Calendar because like Google probably already not like has that, but like then that would encourage you not to go to the like the calendar website if you
Yeah,
just have a
basically,
Chrome
if
extension
you're
that does
using
it for
their
you.
own like files or their own programs, then they can incentivize it through you. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
So if you're using something that they own, like Google Calendar or Google Drive or whatever, then they could technically incentivize it and take some of the money. But regardless, it only takes a couple weeks for you to get licensed. And if you don't use any of that, when you make your own search engine, everyone loves Google. No comments. Oh, true. Yeah, sorry, I think my internet cut out.
Oh,
On a
my
Chrome extension.
internet cut off.
Yeah, same. Have you guys ever used DuckDuckGo? That's what I use now. It helps like eliminate some of the tracking that they do. Why do I use that? Because it helps eliminate some of the tracking that they do. I can show you guys because I'm all about keeping the government not knowing. JK. It's this one here, right? Manage Chrome extensions. I'm just gonna activate it here. Basically, when I go and I look for things, it goes through here and it eliminates all of the filters that Chrome initially has or any other extensions have. That helps you to see things. So if I wanted to look up something illegal, which I'm not going to do obviously because I don't look up things that are illegal, but let's say like I wanted to look up YouTube, then if I look up YouTube, I can see everything about YouTube, even things that they don't want you to see about YouTube. And even though this works through Chrome, it takes away all of the filters. So there are other ways to complicate, or I guess to make it more, I don't know, better. At least in my opinion, better. Yes, so that's epic sneaky. Yeah, I'm an epic sneaky kind of gal, man. So yeah, Vivi, thankfully, she put in the chat the PowerPoint with the summarization of what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript do. Like I said, that's not really even the bare bones of it. It's just so that you guys can get understanding of what roles they play in the extension. We are recording this. We're gonna post it in the CodeResolve chat that they have there and on Discord, so you guys can be able to see if you have any questions. You can always ask us there. Yeah, I'm gonna link my GitHub where I put the finished one that I completed. And then
Oh,
yeah,
I put it.
yeah, you put it?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just put it. I was gonna say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so yeah, any questions if you guys have any questions, and if not, then I think we're good to go. I'm gonna stop the recording for now.